You're listening to Whoa! Potluck.
Welcome to Marvel Makeup. I'm Quincy.
And I'm Kay, and this is a podcast where I teach Quincy a little bit about Marvel.
And I teach Kay a little bit about makeup.
Watch out, there are MCU spoilers ahead.
Mucho spoilers.
So many spoilers. Because we're in phase 3, y'all. And today's guest is a writer, performer, and cake enthusiast. She has written for Cosmopolitan.com, Good Magazine, Sarcasm Society, and Live Magazine, among many others.
She's also a member of the improv team Voltron and the Korean drama podcast, which, like us, is part of the Potluck Podcast Collective. We'll say that 3 times. Please welcome Kathy Yamamoto.
Hi, guys. So excited to be here. Welcome to the Potluck fam. So excited.
Thank you. You are actually, we had Kim on, who's another member of the Korean drama podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So we're soon to hopefully collect them all from all of the podcasts.
You're so close.
Fam. And so today we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Just to kind of like set your mind about when this movie came out. It came out May 5th, 2017. It was written and directed by James Gunn. And he also did the first Guardians of the Galaxy and the recent Suicide Squad movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet. Nope, no one's seen it. I did. It came out on HBO Max. It's one of those movies that came out in theaters and also HBO Max. So I saw it. I thought it was pretty good. And some things that were going on in 2017, just to give you context, it was a big year for movements. Colin Kaepernick had started doing the Take a Knee movement starting in 2016. It kind of really took off in 2017, where more players were doing it throughout the NFL. It was also the beginning of the Me Too movement, with all of the people sharing their stories, the women sharing their stories, and which also coincided with the Women's March, and women going out wearing the pink hats, and marching for their rights and to share their stories. And another great moment was Beyonce premiering on her Instagram that she was pregnant with twins. So just to give you some context.
All the rumors that swirled around Beyonce's the birth. Did you hear any of that?
No.
She blocked off a whole floor, or tried to block off the whole floor or something. All these wild rumors. I just remember it was let her be and have her babies.
With just the picture coming out though, that was such a moment. People were kind of making their own replicas of the picture. It was the one where she kind of had the veil and she was sitting among flowers.
Yeah, very pastel.
Yes.
I think it was a goddess she was evoking. I forget the name.
Yeah, it was very ethereal look. When you think goddess, you're just like Beyonce. I know there's goddesses in Rome, Roman and, what was it? The other one, Roman.
Greece.
Yeah. But if they were to come to America in 2021, they're like, who are your gods and goddesses? Well, we have Beyonce.
Also, guys, just so you know, we have goddesses and gods too. We just didn't learn about them. I just want to put that out there. Apparently,
what do you mean?
Koreans have gods and goddesses too. And I was I did not know that.
Well, yeah, very much too in Hawaiian culture, many goddesses and gods. Pele is one specific one that I grew up learning about, the goddess of volcanoes and fire. One of the things that we never did when we would visit a volcano was to take any part of the volcano back with us, because that was the thing that people used to do, where they would take lava rock with them, but you were not supposed to do that. And if you did, you were bringing horrible things on your head. So,
ooh, yikes!
Sounds a great premise to a horror pilot.
Ooh,
throwing that out there, or movie.
Oh, there you go.
I'd watch it.
Yeah,
I don't like horror, and I'd watch it.
Yeah, I'm not a big horror person either. I'm I can't go to a movie and then watch it like this.
Yes.
That's just a waste of money. So those are just some of the things that were happening in 2017 when this movie came out. So, Guardians of the Galaxy. Kathy, I know we talked, I assigned you this movie, but I was interested in knowing what you thought about it, especially because you said you didn't know that much about Marvel, and it is a sequel. So to start off, had you ever seen Guardians of the first one?
I saw the first one in theaters.
Okay.
I remember seeing this one in theaters as well.
Okay.
I'll watch like the big hits, but I won't watch all of them. But
Thor Dark World.
Which
That's
one?
Thor Dark World is one of the ones that people are like, I never saw that one. It's like the second Thor one.
Oh, hadn't even heard of it. I truly flew over my radar. Gotta say, and don't want to bring in a negative energy, but I really hated this movie.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Did you
so
really?
bad.
Why did you hate it?
I thought it was so boring. In fact, I had to watch it in two halves because I thought I was like, oh, surely it must be done. And then there was an hour more. I was like, oh, okay, I gotta save this for another day. And then
hot citizen take.
I watched the first half with my husband, and my husband was like, absolutely not for the second half. So I watched the second half while he wasn't home and was just texting him like, save me from this movie. This movie is so boring.
I love this movie.
Wow. Oh, so to you, its main problem was that it was super slow and boring?
Yes, and long.
Okay, and long. Okay.
It was long. It did feel long. I will say it was long. It felt long.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I agree with both. I enjoy this movie because to me, my favorite Marvel movies tend to talk about or feature a team. So, Guardians of the Galaxy.
This was a whole team. What do you mean, Kay?
No, that's what I'm saying. I enjoyed this movie because it's one of the team movies. Like some of the earlier movies that are just like, it's just Iron Man and just Thor. I'm like, okay. But I will say I prefer the first Guardians to this Guardians because to me, I agree that the middle is very slow.
I like this volume than the first one.
Interesting.
Oh, man.
Wow.
I think though, if I were to dissect it, I don't really care for like the dad stuff. I think thematically it's very interesting. Like what the dad plot is. It's like, it's okay. My whole thing is I was like, man, I am like on team Yondu for the win. Because I love him as a character. And then just, you see his arc finally come full circle. And I just loved it so much. And I think it goes back to, we talked about this in our first episode when we covered this movie, the first one. Just the casting is amazing. And like, David Bautista fucking killed it in this movie. He landed every single one of those jokes. And he was like, if he were like an unknown, this would be his like breakout movie. He just was great. I thought the Nebula storyline was great. I thought
for me, that's my favorite part. I, really enjoy the Yondu stuff because, it brought so much kind of like vulnerability to that character who's such kind of like a badass and kind of like so harsh the whole time.
He comes back.
What?
Please tell me he comes back.
I don't
tell me.
No,
don't tell me.
Volume 3 is 2023, so anything's possible, right?
There's a third one coming out. And as we learned last time, the movie before this is Doctor Strange. And that's where they introduced the idea of multiverse. Mm-mm. So there's different universes. So in that sense, there are different versions of the same characters out there. So there's that potential. But in this timeline, he is, you learn he's currently dead.
Oh, he's dead.
Because at the end, to me, the movie starts strong and then it really kind of lags through the middle because you're thinking the whole Kurt Russell of it all, which, he was a cool character, but you're just like kind of waiting for it. You're like, you kind of can tell there's like a turn coming with his character, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, you definitely saw that. Kathy, what if you could change something? If you could like magic wand the movie, what would you change about it? I mean, how would you change it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so hard. There's so many issues for me. It's just like, but like primarily making it smaller. Okay, I think your point of it, the middle being very long, is very apt. But there are stuff that like I sincerely loved about it. Like Dave Bautista, I thought was phenomenal. As you said, Quincy, I really see myself in him, you know, like a little too honest all the time. Yeah, I think they got their characters down. It was interesting to see how dated some of the CGI looked. And I was like, damn, this is only 3 years old. And this looks like kind of bad.
I agree. Oh my God. I was watching it on my like a monitor. And then I switched to the second half on an iPad. And I was forced, especially the action scenes. I feel you, because I was like, this feels weird. And I wondered if it was because it was on an iPad and not like on a bigger screen. But I caught some of that where I was like, this feels like I can see the CGI with the acting, like the line between the special effects and the green. It wasn't seamless.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely, it's weird. I feel like my eyes are so trained to just see it all as one thing now. But I do get that sense in this movie, the times where it's just like, oh, they're standing on a green screen and they're just looking around being like, oh, be at all at things that are seeing. Because you're just like, there's no way there's like a physical, bubble turning into more bubbles, happening in front of their actual faces. So yeah. And so what other things, Kathy, would you say that for me, this really stood out as like, oh, bad. And this, was like one of the positive things.
Well, so I was getting very bored. And then when I get bored watching things, I tend to overanalyze it. So I was like, what is this movie about? Just like thematically, especially the father, it's like a kind of about choosing your own community. But I also thought it was kind of about like how toxic masculinity is like ultimately destructive, and you have to be like more sensitive and in touch with your emotions and like more loving and caring, which I totally get. But I was like, I wonder if this is why I'm bored with it. Is because I already know this. Like we know this as women. Like I don't need to be taught this. But I don't know. Maybe since Marvel, I guess, is primarily, at least they market towards men, maybe that's good for them to learn. But yeah, I also loved Mantis. Rocket grading a little bit, after a while. Groot, 5 stars as always.
Baby Groot.
Baby Groot.
Yeah. Very much adorable. There's so many toys of him that got sold after this movie came out.
Now I was like,
yes.
I don't get the Baby Groot thing, but it was like, oh, I just haven't seen the movie he starred in that made him so cute.
Yeah,
he's very cute. And the teen post-credit scene, the only one of that which made sense. Like so good, so funny, real payoff. Also, wait, I'm sorry. Can we talk about how Michelle Yeoh has like one line?
Yes. I mean, a great cameo, and her and Ving Rhames and Sylvester Stallone. Well, Sylvester Stallone had more lines, but they are just kind of like cameo type parts in the end. Yeah.
When I saw Sylvester, I was like, is it? Because it's just like, that was, I think that was fun. That was definitely like
very fun.
Yeah, very fun choice.
But yeah, she had the one line. And I feel like every time she shows up anything, I'm just like, more please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even when she's the star, it's like, how about only her? What if we did that?
Please.
Yeah. I watched there's Star Trek Discovery, like the newest Star Trek show. I mainly watched that show because of her. And then I got to love the rest of the cast, but mainly when people were just like, you should watch Discovery, I think you really like it, and I was like, Michelle Yeoh's in that, right? And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay. Okay.
Can we also talk about how hot she looked? She like looked hot, and
always.
She's not supposed to. Like it's like a grunge look, right?
Yeah.
And she looks amazing.
Yeah, very like with the hair and the eyes, and very like you're just like, my hair is greasy. Before we started, you're like, my hair is greasy, but like you would have been part of Michelle Yeoh's troop with that.
Oh my God,
kind of hair
casting!
look.
Are you listening for 2023? Excuse me.
Yes, please.
Yes.
What else? What were other things that stuck out?
For me, my favorite part is the Nebula Gamora relationship in this, which comes mostly to a head at the end, where Nebula straight just tries to kill her with her ship, but then Gamora pulls her out anyways, and they still try to fight. Nebula still fights her, and it's just like, I finally won, and Gamora's kind of over it, but Nebula's just like it finally makes her realize, like, I just wanted a sister,
It made me realize Gamora ain't as great as I don't know. I was like, what? Because I have a sister, and I'm like, we're very close. And I'm like, and I was like, okay, I bet they're going to say it's because they were children and she didn't know. But I'm like, and yes, abuse, standing up to a parent who's being abusive as a child is, I can't imagine. But I'm like, as grown women, like, I don't know. I guess I was just like, you didn't talk to your sister? Like, I don't know.
Well, like sister in the sense that like they were both kidnapped from their various planets and brought up by Thanos. But I don't know. It's this thing of like, I have sisters. Sometimes you're just so used to being put up against each other and in competition with each other that you would love to kind of like drop that and be like, let's just like, be on the same team. But then you're kind of, it's that fear of you're opening yourself up for like, but then they'll take advantage of that, Right.
And then in this world, it's like taking advantage is like killing you.
Yeah. Getting taken advantage of means, you lose a fight and then your dad takes a piece of part of you off of you and then replaces it with a machine, which is,
that's what I mean. She
brutal.
Like didn't note it. Like, I don't know. I guess it's like, that sounds like a conversation that needs to happen. And I'm like, Gamora didn't notice her sister being.
No, I'm pretty sure she noticed. She just at that point she was just like in survival mode, Yeah.
And I guess follow-up question, like, where are the therapists in the MCU? Like, what are they doing? They're like not helping people, clearly. I mean, unless maybe Nebula didn't want help and like this is part of her process, but just saying, where are they?
Not currently in the MCU up to this point. It's funny because last time we were talking about how all of these movies, the big villains are always just like, we need to get that Earth, Earth, we need to conquer that. And Quincy brought up the fact, like, why do they think Earth is so good? Like, why are they all after Earth all the time? So maybe that's one of the things that we have that no other galaxy has.
Oh, therapists.
We have therapists.
Yeah. Also water. I was here listening to an alien podcast, as you do. And they say like one of the things that aliens might be interested in our planet is our water because we have so much of it.
Yes. It tends to be like resources, or just like, and this is another thing that made me think of Quincy when you're just like, why are they always after Earth? Is like humanity. For some reason, humanity has like this special power where our genes are able to just be more like malleable when combined with other space genes, because that's why Kurt Russell's character, finally went after Chris Pratt's character Quill and searched for him for so long, because he was trying to make babies with all types of different aliens, and then none of the progeny ended up inheriting like his power and his connection to the light except for Quill. So maybe that's the reason why villains always are wanting to go after Earth, because like humans have the ability that like when you mix us with other stuff, like we actually like will it like adheres to us, or like the genes that we have are more malleable than like other aliens where it's just like
good Play-Doh.
Yeah, we're more like clay than any other type of, type of alien race. So just a couple other things that I thought were kind of highlights of the movie. Other than that slow middle part.
Question.
Oh.
Did you guys feel that fight with Gamora and Quill was a little artificial? Like it kind of came out of nowhere. When she's like, it feels strange. Something feels off. Like they're having a nice little moment and she was like, this feels off. And he gets mad at her and like they fight and split off. Did you feel that it was like forced?
I will say like the conflict wasn't, the progress of the conflict wasn't as organic for me in this one, because it starts out that Kurt Russell shows up, Quill is just like, where have you been? He's just kind of like has a grudge, and it's Gamora who's like, oh no, you told me that story about Hasselhoff and how you want him to be your dad, and this is like what you always wanted, so maybe you should go along with it.
Yeah, that felt like it was also manufactured. Well,
like
and it came out of like, why is she saying this all of a sudden?
I mean, because the dad showed up and it was just like, this is we're focusing on the dad issues now, kind of like the big sign. But then the switch and the turn of just like he plays catch with the dad once and now he's on board, and now Gamora is the one who's like questioning everything. I was just like, okay, it was one of those things you're just like, I see what's happening here, but it's not necessarily like, it didn't feel like, and this is the natural progression of how their feelings were, going.
I don't know, Kathy, did you feel that?
I didn't feel that. I mean, I the moment you're talking about was kind of hit me when I was starting to tune out of the movie. I didn't feel it to be super inorganic, but I did find the logic in Kurt Russell's character to be just like a little unsound. And like, I had a real hard time following it. Which made me like less interested in his character, because I was like, well, I don't think you're making sense, my dude. Take a second and have a think about it, before you decide to destroy the universe.
I agree. Like, I actually remember when I saw this in theaters, walking out of it and being like, so what was his deal again? Like, why? Like, I had a problem understanding his end game, his, overall goal and why. And it was this time that I was like, I really, since I remember not really understanding it the first time, I'd really try to pay attention to like, okay, what was he going for here? And, it was basically him just being like, I'm a god. I want to maintain my godness and, be everywhere. His name is Ego. So the fact that he wants to spread himself everywhere and possess every planet, and, be damned every other piece of every other living organism, is kind of his thing. I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get it more now, but I had to kind of like look out for it specifically, Did you understand his goal, Quincy? Did you get it?
Now I do. Yeah, but again, like I think we talked about this with Caitlin's episode with Loki being angry. Like I just don't get why everyone is so angry or mad. Like the villain mindset of like, I must take and destroy and have and conquer. I just don't generally. I'm like, I mean, you could just ask like, hey, can I have some or whatever? You
want to be like, you think he should have asked, hey, can I just annihilate every living organism on your planet? So it's just me?
If he's a god, he says he's a god. Like, as a god, do you physically need to overpower everything, right? Like, to me, I'm like, if you're truly a celestial, higher, omnipotent being, there's got to be and maybe that's the whole point, like his ego, the hubris or whatever is what causes him to fall ultimately at the end. I don't know, if you're God, like, don't you have like God shit to do? This like This is very like small dick energy to me. Like
yes, exactly. Oh, that really encapsulated my feelings on it. Small dick energy.
Yeah. I'm like, you're a celestial being. Like, go be celestial. Like, go do, I don't know. Obviously I'm not a celestial being, but like, go be celestial. Go pass on your powers in an amazing way. I don't think you need to dominate and kill and conquer and lay eggs everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's not enough for him. You know, that small dick energy, it's never enough. It's never big enough. So they have to constantly be overpowering. And actually
this job goes back to Kathy.
and one of the things that really I remember the first time being like, and he killed the mom. I realized this second time, I was like, oh, that's even more cold-hearted. The fact that
Why did you tell him?
Well, his whole thing was like, I actually visited your mom multiple times. I just didn't hook up with her and then leave. Like, I went back because I actually was in love with her. But in order to stay focused on my goal of spreading myself and expanding me across the universe, I had to kill her, because if she had still been alive, she would be too much of a distraction. Like, and I was just like, dang,
toxic masculinity.
Right.
Like, it's your fault that I can't focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also he kept saying, he's like, oh, I'm actually in love with your mom. Also searching for meaning, but then I realized, like, I'm too great for me. I'm like, what? Kurt Russell, pick a lane and stick in it, you know? Like, what are you saying? Come on, if we just like chose one, maybe this movie wouldn't be so goddamn long, you know? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about how he was writing an egg?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like a whipped frosting egg.
I didn't pick up on this until this time I'm watching. I was like, oh, he's an egg. And it kind of, it was egg-like, but also kind of like sperm-like. So
the
like,
whole thing about men procreating to fulfill their, like, you know, progeny. It's like men, like, you know, my friend said it better, like not dominating women. Maybe it is, but it's like that whole, like, there's even that one shot where the egg ship is like, comes across the screen like this. And it's very much, to me, it reminded me of, you know, when you see those biology videos of like the sperm, it looks exactly like that.
Yeah. And that's what he was doing. He was spreading his seed all over the place so he could find some progeny that could, you know, help him spread himself and, like, you know, also have connection to the power that he had connection to. Because
apparently that is biology, is like that's how we keep living forever, is through our children. That's why, like, biologically we want to produce children, which I'm like, that's still, anyway.
Yeah, otherwise why would you? It's too much work.
Yeah. I mean the whole idea of like legacy and what do you leave behind, and like it's your children and your grandchildren. I mean, that's why, you know, that's why so many people have to talk about their parental relationships in therapy, because they're constantly being put all of those their wishes and hopes and, you know, expectations on the progeny to carry on, you know, the legacy.
When I say thanks to this movie, I know how to say progeny.
But do you know how to spell it?
I do. Progeny. I just perfect. I knew I was saying it wrong, but I was like, I read it and I'd be like, progeny, and then he said, I was like, oh, the O is extended. Progeny.
Well, good thing Quincy has learned.
I'm learning a lot, Kathy. I've learned a lot.
I love it. Well, can I ask, kind of off topic, how many Marvel movies do you guys watch a week?
Oh, we record this like every other week. So it
was once a week.
We were doing it about once a week for a while.
Before, and then things that have been, you know, with things faux opening up, it's every other week.
That just seems like a lot. I was very impressed at your what I thought was your shooting schedule, because I was like, these Marvel movies, they're fucking long.
They are long.
Yeah.
I like, that was something that surprised me too, was how long they can be. But then certain movies like the Captain America 3, I was surprised because they pack so much in a short amount of time. Because sometimes I feel like I don't know, sometimes I wish they would just do a 1 and 2 instead of trying to do like one big long movie.
I agree.
You would make more money.
Yeah.
Well, and what's interesting is, now they have the TV shows. So they're usually an hour at the most. So you're getting a good amount of story for an hour. So it feels like the time has passed. Versus this movie where you're just like, okay, we're still Kurt. Okay, Dad, got it. All right. And then, finally it's like, oh, hey, Nebula's back. All right. Okay.
For me, it's like, Dave Bautista, where are you? We need you. Please return.
Dude, he freaking killed it. Every time he landed, I just was like so happy. I'm so happy for him. He's like doing the Rock transition, I think, from like wrestling to acting, and he's really killing it.
Yeah.
He's so good in this.
Yeah. Like just the one-liner. He had all the fun lines, and like you knew they were setting him up for something, but like you didn't see it coming, and just yeah, I love that character.
That one line where he's like, Mantis, you can do it. You could put ego to sleep. Like, just believe in yourself because I believe in you. And then the turn after she does it where he was like, phew, I did not think you could do it. It was so funny and so unexpected, It made me laugh
and
so
then
hard.
even the ending too, where like the what is it? It's blowing up or something. And I just remember he goes like, it is beautiful. You are too. And it sets you up thinking he's finally falling in love with her. And he goes, on the inside.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
there's like a real like honesty to the character he brings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just think for me, what I just loved was like, again, they like nailed it on the casting. Like everyone feels very comfortable in a good way in all the characters that they play. And even Kurt Russell's character like captured that like rugged cowboy, like, and in some ways like that encapsulates that toxic masculinity thing, right? Like I'm rugged, I'm a man's man, I'm going to do what I want when I want. And the casting was really great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see these characters grow.
Yeah. One another quick thing I wanted to mention. I don't know if you noticed, but the guy who plays Taserface is Chris Sullivan. Do you guys know him? He's on This Is Us, and he plays Toby, the husband to the daughter of Milo Ventimiglia and Mandy Moore.
I haven't gone that fast. Oh,
that guy.
He's the dog. Oh,
Yeah,
Look him up. I'll look him up.
Well,
I can see it now.
He's
yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, he's one of those people that like when you see him in other things, you're always just like, well, you see his face, and then he's actually part of Guardians of the Galaxy. And everyone's like, what?
A character actor.
Yeah.
Like
so I thought he had some pretty fun lines too, because the whole bit of them being like, my name is Taserface, it strikes fear people's hearts, and people are like, not really.
Can we talk about just how I also really loved? We finally got to see, Yondu's arrow in action finally.
Yes.
It was so visually yummy to see that. And there's, I don't know, the way they illustrated, I don't know the word, designed it. I don't know. It was just really satisfying to finally see him use his weapon and see how powerful it was.
Yeah, that big set piece where it's basically like bodies raining down and, while they're walking through, which made me kind of realize like, man, the Ravagers aren't really that scary. If they couldn't get one shot off that whole sequence where, they're like all just like running in and they're about to shoot and it's like, oh, and it goes through them.
Yeah.
I was like, you need a better crew, Yondu. But the whole idea is they're all kind of like outcasts and, the people he's picked up along the way. So, they're not necessarily like trained soldiers. But yeah, that was a pretty awesome sequence. That was kind of one of the most visually dynamic. And then even goes into like the cameras when he's in that security guard, section, like kind of like a hub where he's seeing all the cameras, and then you just see all the people dying on the cameras. Really cool looking.
I will say one thing that bothers me about Marvel and Disney in general. I did just see Jungle Cruise, and this is something that happens in Jungle Cruise. It's not a spoiler, but whenever there's violence in Disney movies, there's never any blood.
No.
I find that so off-putting.
Well, it's so they can keep it PG-13.
Oh,
I feel ya, and it's not like I want to see like a bunch of carnage, but it just like, I don't know. It makes it feel so divorced from reality, you know, when you like, they're just like, oh, or it's like the same one, like in an action movie when someone like punches someone in the head and they're like, oh, and then they lie down and pass out. It's like, they're not dead. You just punched him once.
I will agree with you. 2 notes to that, Kathy. That happened in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 when Groot goes and like violently kills like a group of men, like a lot. And we were like, oh, that was really violent, but we like give it a pass because he's one of the good guys. So I totally feel you on that. And then 2, with the impact, like the consequences of things, I agree. Because when I watched Mortal Kombat, you really saw people, there were consequences to certain moves and people were really hurt. And not same, I don't want to see people actually get hurt, but like everything mattered more versus sometimes when you see certain action sequences and like they fly through like 30 worlds and then they're fine. Like even when Rocket sends them through 500 portals and Yondu goes like, we can't do that. And you think that's setting them up for a consequence. And then there's no payoff to them having portal, or I don't know what the correct term is, but jump through 500 portals. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree. And, you know, to me, I'm just like, it's so they can keep it in that kind of like family, you know, able for your kids to see this type realm. You know, there is that kind of like whole conversation of like, does this desensitize our kids to violence? Does this make them think like, oh, I can just punch someone, you know, in the chest and they'll be fine and they'll just fly back a little and then go, oh, and then stand up again. Yeah, I mean, I feel like
reverse would actually happen. It'd be like, I could punch this person and I won't be hurt. And then you actually punch someone and you realize how much it actually hurts to strike someone or something.
Yeah. There's that. Yeah, there's that too. But you know, it is interesting because there are Marvel properties that are coming up that are supposed to be more adult. So it will be interesting to see how they transition to showing the violence. I mean, just to, as an example, you know, Suicide Squad came out this week and I watched that, and that one is super violent because you see the consequences, you see the blood, you know, and you know, and it's not just you see the blood, it's like emphasized for like effect, you know, it's not, it's kind of goes the other way of just like you see the consequences on the blood, but it's also splurting like an explosion to, you know, create that effect. So yeah, I think it's definitely a valid point.
Was like, ooh, this is gross.
Did not like to see that either.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like, is there a happy medium or is there a way to do it where it doesn't have to be? Because I was watching Warrior. So on that note, I was watching Warrior, and there's this one scene where it's first of all, I was like, the Irish cops could not, like the what is it? The gangster, the Tong came into the thingy. I'm like, these cops don't know how to fight. Like, they're not gonna realistically beat these people up unless you actually shoot them. But that whole fight sequence was incredibly violent, and you know, it's a Cinemax show, so they can, and I couldn't watch it because I was like, this is way too like literally violent.
Oh, interesting. Like, was it bloody or
very bloody, very gory? Because they're fighting with like hatchets and it's like close contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the difference between being like hit and being like, oh, and like, you know, something, or being stabbed and just being like, versus being stabbed, being like, oh, and then the blood shaking out, and then you're just like looking, the face
like,
of the person.
Yeah, because it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And it's less. And I think it takes away the fun of it, because you're just like, you're not like, oh yeah, we're just going through and we're battling and using powers and it's like, oh, these people, you see the pain, pain inflicted.
You know, I just realized I think I might like Yondu's arrow mostly because it's like reminds me of Harry Potter.
Well, it does help him fly. One of the best lines of the whole movie, I think, is "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all."
Yes,
he's coming down.
Good. I also loved "He may be your dad, but he ain't your daddy." I was like, "Yes, be my daddy."
Yeah, that's a good one. And I will say I did cry at the end. I teared up with the when you have Sean Gunn's character Kragan, the one who kind of stuck with him, and seeing all the fireworks
Unsung
that they were
hero.
giving for him.
Unsung
and he was
hero.
like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. He was getting his due.
Yeah.
Yondu was getting his
Unsung
due.
hero. He was great.
I did think that was nice, especially for Rocket, who though is not my favorite character, did have like a moment of hope in seeing that. I thought that was like a really nice touch.
Yeah.
And and as it said in the end, the Guardians will be back, so their stories do continue. So there's a lot of Peter, there's a lot of his arc in this movie, and for me, I enjoyed kind of the arcs of the other characters more. So if you were to watch more Guardians or even like the Avengers down the line, you will see that they get more to their stories.
I want more Nebula, to be honest.
Yes,
I thought she had a lot of grit that we didn't get to see. I would also love to see more Yondu, please. They have a lot of grit, and I don't know. I feel like there's so much history, and that's what I started to realize as the movie was going on. I think mostly I think the reason I liked the movie was because I got to know Yondu more, and I found him to be the most intriguing character. And as the ship mutinied, I realized he like brought a lot of humanity to his role, and you could tell there was a lot going on underneath the whole evil villain persona. And I was like, I want to see more of that. And I found him to be the most compelling, mysterious character.
Yeah, and this is something Marvel does do. Especially in this movie, you have Ego show up. You think he's like a good guy because he helped them get away from the Sovereign, but then there's that turn where he becomes a villain. We meet Yondu in Guardians 1, and he's more of a villain, but by the end of this movie, he's becomes a Guardian and becomes part of their team, if just for a short while. So they do play a lot with that in the Marvel universe of like villains turning to heroic, and heroic villains, heroic people sometimes acting villainous. I mean, even in this last movie with Civil War, you had Captain America making some not good decisions, and him and Iron Man actually coming to blows. Did you ever see Civil War, Kathy? Captain America?
I did, on the plane. I'm having a hard time remembering it, but I do remember liking it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a pretty massive movie because there's so many characters in it. Yeah. So I think that actually brings us to the end of the Marvel portion of our podcast for today. So let's go ahead and transition into our stretch and share.
Stretch and share.
I think I picked the stretch last time, Quincy. So do you want to pick a stretch?
Sure. Let us do, if you clasp your hands behind your back and just really stretch.
Ooh, yes.
That's a good one.
Your sternum.
Chair I'm in.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Kay, do you have a share?
I do. Speaking of cool shows, no, this is a bad transition. Well, one thing that I happily discovered this week is that the second season of Star Trek Lower Decks has premiered on Paramount Plus. It's a cartoon animated Star Trek show, and that's actually a comedy. And I watched the first season, and it was so funny. And the second season was premiered, and it's also pretty funny. So I'll be watching that. And a lot of really other great shows are coming back right now. I feel like because of, COVID, like things were pushed and kind of schedules of like shows coming out have been like kind of all over the place. But like Aquafina is coming out this week, the new season. So, a lot of fun stuff to look to find and watch, so I can stop watching react videos of people watching Marvel stuff, because that when there was a bit of a drought with new shows, that's what I was watching. I was like, oh, I gotta find a new show.
Oh no.
So yeah. Oh, and Eugene Cordero is on Star Trek Lower Decks. So he is it's always fun to see him and stuff. He's a fellow Voltron, member of Voltron, like Kathy.
He's great. I got to see him perform in drag. It was great.
Oh yeah, for Drag Race.
Oh my God, he was so great. His drag queen's persona is Maganda, and she was just so over it the whole time. Like everyone else was like doing, she was just like the whole time, like waiting, looking at. Oh, it was so good. I could watch Eugene perform all day.
Yeah, always. Comedy. Yeah. Kathy, do you have any highlight to share for your week, or tidbit, or little pieces of info?
Yes, I knew this was coming, and yet I didn't prepare.
Quincy never does either.
Oh, Quincy!
I was trying to think, because I was telling you guys that this was such a boring week, so like nothing happened. So I left the door open at my parents' house. It's a long story, but I was watching my sister's kids at my parents' house for a while, and they very sweetly didn't want to get into the car because they were having such a good time, and the door was open for a long time, and my dog ran out because he saw another big dog, and they like got into a fight. No one was hurt, but I was very stressed out because the man who owned the dog was like a little upset, and as he should be, I guess. But then he came back later to apologize for getting upset. So that felt very nice. And I was like, oh, you know what? Whenever I feel like I've done something bad, I'm going to just like, even if it feels weird, I'm just going to like go and say that like, I don't feel good about what I did, because when he did that to me, it just like put my mind at rest so much. I was like, I'm glad that like what was said was just in the moment, and we can like move on from that.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Oh, that's
the opposite of toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
This man has seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and he was like, I'm not going to make that mistake, okay? I'm going to be in touch with my
talk about stuff and just air it out.
Yes.
Yes.
Be proud to be from Earth, where they have therapists.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Quincy?
I seriously considered adopting a golden doodle, because someone, like, it was like a Facebook group, and they were like, I am rehoming my golden doodle 9-week-old puppy because, they could no longer care for it. And I seriously considered it because it was so fucking cute. It looked like a little doll. And, I don't know. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. You're in it. And I already have a dog. I already have a cat. And I was like, I just need to find a good reason I can justify adopting a dog puppy that will grow up to be 50 to 60 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was just like, it starts out small, but it gets big pretty quickly, right?
Big, yeah. And then I have a friend who has a golden doodle, and they told him it would grow up to be 50 to 60. It's now 100 pounds.
Oh. Wow. That's like a small horse.
It's a human. It's a family member, Yeah. So I decided no, but I showed all I already named him.
What was the name?
Donut.
Oh, that's cute.
That's
Donut.
That's a cute name for a cute dog.
Donut. Like, guys, I'm just like a Pokemon catcher. That's what it really is. I'm just trying to catch them all. That's what I did. And I finally let it go when my friend told me, I guess golden doodles have hair and not fur. So you have to like get them proper grooming, like haircuts, or else the hair will mat, or else they'll just look insane.
I have a dog with hair, and you can let it go for a long time.
Oh, really? What kind of dog do you have, Kathy?
I have a terrier Shih Tzu, we think, and he has hair too. He just like starts to look not as cute because he gets really shaggy. But we do it like twice a year, and that seems to calm him down, like be fine. And then if he gets mad, I mean, whatever. We're very like low key people, so we'll cut mats off his body.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
I was like, I'll just cut him off. I don't care. I don't need my dog doesn't need to impress anyone.
Yeah. It doesn't live up to your patriarchal
standards of
beauty standards, Western beauty standards. No, thank you.
No,
he just was comfortable.
Do you when you go get him groomed? Do you do it? Do you take him somewhere, or have you learned to do it yourself?
No, we take him somewhere and we get him shaved so we don't have to do it. We're like, you do it.
I would do. Yeah. I would just
like
them.
fully shaved.
Yeah,
you can also, some dogs you can just like give them a good buzz cut too.
Yeah. We ask for the shortest you can go, so it's not like skin, but it's like just a little bit of hair.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I'm glad your doggy's okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it was fine. My dog's like a little coward. His bark is bigger than his bite, so he just like riles him up and then like runs away. He's like, shit, fuck, get me out of here.
Look what I did. I don't want to deal with it.
I went too far. Cool. Well, that brings us to the end of our stretch and share. Yay. Now we're going to dive into the makeup portion of the podcast.
We are doing glitter, sparkles, and shimmer.
Yes.
Glitters. Okay. I normally would say this is great for like a nighttime look, but also we live in LA. Also, we live in 2021 time period. You can add glitter, sparkle, and shimmer to everything.
Well, and quick note. So, Kathy, last week and the week before, I was going heavy on the eyeshadow because I was trying to represent the different sides of Civil War through my eyeshadow. So one week I went really red for Team Iron Man, and then I went really blue for Team Captain America. I learned that doing that can be problematic when you use too much, and then you also have a lipstick that can kind of like contrast it. So it looks you don't know where the eye is going. So for today, Quincy, I used an eyeshadow that's very subtle, but it also had a little bit of glitter in it.
It looks nice. Good job, Kay.
Thank you. But then I did a bold lip.
Very good.
That's where the focus is.
Yes. Very good. The buffing, which Kay calls buffering.
Yes. Diffusing.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing I was going to ask. What's your opinion? I know when we've done eyeshadow before, you're like, use the 3 colors. What about just using one color?
You can. It's to create diamond. It's to help create dimension. I was going to say also with Kathy's look today, you look phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I did try very hard.
It looks great. Like, I love the color choices. Like, the purple matches the shirt you're wearing.
Yes.
Sets everything off. But even this, I would say it's not like a natural bare face look, but it still looks very natural.
Great. Yeah. I will say, are you guys have eye stuff on?
We both have eyeliner on. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. See, I haven't been using eyeliner as regularly just because I feel like it's very, very difficult to take off. Are there any tips or things that you guys do specifically to remove eyeliner?
Yeah. What do you do, Kathy?
I just have like whatever you get at Target, like the oily stuff, and just like wipe it off, and eventually it'll come off.
Okay.
But today I tried something a little different, and I don't know to what success, but I did tape. Like, I taped out my eyeliner where it's supposed to go, and then I used powder instead of like the pencil. Like, I just used like a dark eyeshadow. Cool. So I hypothesize that this will be easier to take off.
It probably will be, because it's like a powder instead of like a liquid eyeliner that you had to like get all up in there. Probably.
Yes.
Yeah. It looks great. Like the what is it? The tails at the end look very accurate.
Oh, well, that's all the tape. It did all the work for me.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Makeup wise, I also have the same problem getting it off. What I found out I have a milk cleanser, and all that means is I think it's just like a milky looking texture. I'm didn't listen to instructions and was like, I'm just going to put it on and do what I think is right, which is put water on it. But what you're supposed to do is wipe it off. So I'll put some soap and gently like rub around the eye like this, and then try to like gently, like not pull, but gently get the makeup off. So it's like here. And what you're supposed to do is use a tissue to wipe it off, and then I'll wash my face. And that has helped.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because I realize it's kind of a catch-22 because so many eyeliners are like waterproof, but you're just like, oh, if they're waterproof, then how do you take it off?
Like an oil-based, like Kathy mentioned, like an oil-based makeup remover that you can put on like a little cotton pad, and then you'll gently rub it out. All
right. Oil-based. Yeah. That's good to know.
Cool. Shimmers and sparkles. Can be shimmers and sparkles in eyeshadow, and it's great for like a dramatic nighttime look. You can also get one with sparkles in it. Yep. Yeah. Kay's been practicing her eyeshadow technique.
I love it.
Really hard.
There's also liquid eyeshadows that look like this that you could put over what she has just to make it even bolder.
So that's one of the ones you got me, right? Is that so? This is an eyeshadow.
It's a liquid eyeshadow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So I would just put it where I also put the other eyeshadow. I guess.
You would create it so that like it functions like as a highlighter. So let's say you have darker eyeshadow here, like your medium and your light, right? Because you're creating dimension, you'd probably put it like right here.
Okay. Right in the middle.
Yeah. And then I have this highlighter that has also shimmer in it, and it functions to just like catch light. All of it is about accentuating your features. I can't find it, but there's also glitter eyeliner, which is also really fun. It comes in like a really thin brush. And like, if I want it to be fancy, or like when I go to Pride, what I'll do is like line my eyeliner with glitter, and it comes in fun, different colors.
Oh,
yeah.
So Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I had a glitter eyeliner, and I have to say it wasn't like quite as opaque as I wanted it to be. It was like very subtle. So is there like a way to make it like, because sometimes, you just want to be like, bam, with your glitter.
Do you remember what brand? I feel like, did you buy it a few years ago?
I bought it. Well, I don't want to shit on them, but it was Urban Decay. And it was like a purple one. I was very excited about it. But when you put it on, it was just like a few things.
It could be like thin. It's like really thin, right? And it's not as thick as you want. Yeah. That you can either layer, like you can go over it multiple times. I also feel like a few years ago, I don't know, a few years ago could be an under or overestimation estimation. But I feel like nowadays people really want that like dramatic look. So you can look for, there are brands, I don't have them on me, but there are brands that can give you that like bold eyeliner look. There's also pencils that have like glitter in them that you can use to have that like pop of color. But yeah, I feel like even like 5 years ago, people weren't making like bold colors, but now it's like becoming more mainstream because TikTok and stuff and like drag is amazing. You can just build it. You can always build.
Okay.
So I also like to do like glitter, like if you actually have not like glitter for craft, but there's like body glitter you can do, and it's also fun to just like dab if you get like eye primer, right? And you just you're feeling a little frisky for brunch, you could like prime it and then dab some like body glitter on your eye like that to give it a little sparkle. It's like a fun.
And that would be the same primer you use before you put eyeshadow on. You just put it higher up.
Yeah. Well, because it's glitter, it's like fun, like just put it like I always like to do my eyes to accentuate my eyes. Sometimes for drag, no, I didn't put glitter on my lips, but you could even put it like a little touch of it here if you wanted. Yeah.
And that last one that you showed us, that was like the kind of the circle one. And you said you would just put on your face. Is that like
this? Okay, so for this, sorry, I have a piece of dry lip. This is a highlighter with shimmer. And Kay, do you remember when we were looking at contouring, we were looking at like different places to accentuate your face so that the light catches your face, and like like if you want to accentuate your cheekbones, you're gonna create like shadow here so that your face looks more
we
contoured.
drew the line from the ear
You would
towards
put
the
this
mouth
where,
and then
like,
be
the-
diffused.
Yes. And then you would put this where you put your highlighter to give it that like sun-kissed look.
And is that something you just like lipstick, just like go on?
You know how I would use this? I haven't used this in a while. I would probably actually apply it on and then like diffuse it.
And then
with my
always
finger.
diffuse. Okay.
You can
I will
always
say
use
I
your
am wearing
fingers.
some. I don't know if you can notice.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, and then CK, when she moved her face and it catches the light, it catches
Okay.
her cheekbones and helps define it.
So is that also kind of that lipsticky type of
There's different kinds. Kathy, what did you use?
Mine is a powder.
a powder? Okay.
So it's
Okay.
kind of like blush. So I'll do blush I'm a simple gal when it comes to makeup. Don't mess
we
with
take
bronzer.
all types.
Okay. So I like to wow it out sometimes, but most of the time it's very simple. So I'll do like a blush and then a highlighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Huh.
again, Kate, to answer your question, like you saw how Kathy pointed, this was where her blush was, and then her highlighter was on top of it.
Right.
Because her cheeks are here, so you put the blush on your cheeks, and then the highlighter goes on your cheekbones.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And this is essentially like a pressed powder, right? Like if you look, you can't really tell, but it's it's essentially like wet powder.
Huh.
I'm probably
Interesting.
explaining it wrong, but like it's not a cream. It's not what is it? What's the other one? It's not like a liquid.
A liquid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Kathy, your makeup looks great, and like simple is
Yeah.
always good. Yeah.
I really did try a lot. I feel like in the pandemic, I've really forgotten how to put makeup on.
Girl,
so this
there
is
was I remember like I had stopped wearing eyeliner for a little bit, and it was like I was back in high school again. Like my hand was shaking, and it was like the lines were really thick, and one eye was like winking, and the other eye wasn't. Yeah, it's funny how quickly you forget things. Your body forgets things.
Yes. I also always thought that like makeup, because I never wore makeup in high school. I like started dabbling in college and then just like truly very simple most of the time. But I always thought it was something that like you just like learned. Like it's kind of like boobs. They just like the skill just like naturally arrives. But it doesn't. It's like a skill you need to practice. So I find this very informative and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Kay's been doing a lot. She's been doing great.
I've been learning a lot. I tend to go overboard, so I know where the line is. I'm just like, okay, we see that this is too much, so we know we have to pull it back. What for me the hardest kind of like hurdle is so many of these looks look so natural that I can't tell what's actually there sometimes. And I even after Quincy put something on like in front of me, I'll be like, where did it go? Like I can't see the difference because it's so natural looking and so subtle that
you noticed today though we had eyeliner on, so your eye is learning to like see.
to recognize. Yeah.
And speaking to boobs growing in, on the flip side, if makeup skills are boobs that have grown in, I have gotten used to my boobs. So when I am showing Kay something, I realized I have to like really break it down, because what I take for granted, I'll be like, oh, just like, just like pat it on. And it doesn't compute for her because in my head, I already know what it is. And I assume that she already knows what it is.
Yeah. If you go back to our episode where we first talk about concealer, like there's a moment where I'm like this, and then I put too much on. She's like, whoa, that's too much.
Yeah.
So
And what's interesting too is I realized like, I don't know if growing up, I ever really talked about makeup. Like you just kind of figured it out. Like no one ever really sits down and like teaches you any of this stuff. And it is really truly like, I don't know about you, Kathy, but like it was like trial and error.
Yeah.
or make a whole podcast where you go through all those trials and those errors. And,
I mean, you'll probably learn faster that way though, to be honest. When I did.
And the thing is like now that we've gotten to this point where we've kind of covered every little every aspect of the face, now each time me coming in, it's just be like, this is what I did this time. So like for today, it was like I did the lip and I did subtle eye. So here's what I have for today.
Yeah, the diffusing looks great. Like you did a really good job.
Well, I only used one color this time, so that helps.
Sometimes simplifying it helps.
Yeah, and I did do blush, but that is one of those things I'm just like I can't really tell if it's there or not, or if it looks if it's doing anything. And just to go back on the concealer thing, I have a few like spots today where I put it on, and I was just like, because this week was a little stressful and my face showed it. So when I put on the concealer today, I tried to make sure that it actually was blended, and I don't know, I think it looks pretty good.
Your skin looks great.
You did a really good job blending everything, your face.
Yeah, and it's definitely just been, doing it practice and being like, oh, I get used to this, and knowing what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
Yes, actually, because I was watching, not in preparation for this, I just love the show, but I was watching Glow Up yesterday. And they were saying, I watched an episode where they were doing TikTok makeup stuff, and they were saying a current trend is painting in like under eye bags. In
what way? Like, what do you mean painting in?
Like they'll put like maroonish color, like, where I feel like for a while it was like concealer here to like lift your eyes. Now they put like maroon purple here or like a brown here to make it look like you have under eye bags. And I just could not understand. I mean, perhaps I've been colonized by Western beauty standards, but I just truly, I mean, whatever. I feel old every day now, but I truly felt so old. I was like, what?
You know what? I thought it was a joke, but this beauty blogger or makeup artist I follow, I love how he breaks it down. If you guys have questions, Robert Welsh on YouTube does a really great job breaking all of this down. I thought he was joking because his whole aesthetic, like personally, is very like spooky. Like he's always like gothy, spooky, like glam, like so rocker. So it's always like black, and he has like these like cool, funky like skull rings and like like two finger rings, but then like we'll have like a Mickey Mouse mirror. And when he does his eyeshadow, he'll always bring it under, like he'll do the color, and then he'll always bring the color kind of where my makeup has smudged, like here. And he made a joke of like, because I just, want to look tired or something. And I was like, I wonder if that's what that is, like part of that trend. Was it literally under the under eye, Kathy? Like, was it like the bag?
Yeah.
Or was it just right along the eye line?
It wasn't all the way. So it was like, just like here, like a little bit in here.
So where a wrinkle technically would come through.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it wasn't like the whole way around. It was just a little bit.
Huh. I mean,
was the effect, did they look slightly older because they're accentuating what would be a tired or like age line?
Yeah. I mean, the woman who was explaining it was like, it's part of a natural beauty trend, which I call bullshit because you are painting it on. So it is not natural. But she was just saying it's like to like accentuate, like looking like you don't have makeup on, for example, than looking like you have a full beat or whatever. But I think maybe someone needs to check in on Gen Z because like I'm not sure.
It sounds like there's a new trend in Korea. I don't know what it's called, but they get like fat injected to their eyes because like see how like I have this like. This is called baby fat. So if you're like young, you have this because like you have fat to like push your eyes up. Mm-hmm. And that's a trend. So like you look more youthful. All it is just telling people like they have one other. I don't know. If for beauty, like do you, I'm not going to judge you, but also sometimes with these trends, it sometimes also feels like women or women identifying people or people who want to buy in, who are, in wanting to look not like them because someone else tells them you have to do this thing to now be accepted. You know, like it just, I feel like the spin is, here's another thing you need to work on to like be a part of the thing. Right. Well, like, so I get you, Kathy, on that sentiment.
And what's interesting is like, you know, as I've been learning, a lot of times when I come to you, Quincy, and I'm just like, oh, I did this, this, and this. Does this look right? And you're just like, yeah, but you know, it looks like you did this. Is that the type of look you were going for? And to me, it's just like, I don't know what I'm going for just because I'm learning and I'm trying to figure out what it's supposed to look like. But I think that's kind of like a good mindset to put me in moving forward of just like, what's the look you want to go for? And what's basically put stuff on your face, see how it looks. And if you're like, that looks cool, then that's right. Then that's, you know, the way you want to look, then do that, you know? So I think it's interesting how you guys are talking about like, well, this is the trend. And I'm just like, well, my trend that I'm trending towards is just like, is this something that looks like normal? You know, it's like, is this a look at all? You know,
I think normal is so like subjective. I guess it's like what looks and feels good to you, and you know, and right to you. I came on like this today. I'm just like, this looks good. I think I'd wear this to like a party, you know. So I think the lesson is go do the look you want to look like. Do you? Look like you.
Look like you. And I think that's a great place to wrap up our podcast for today. Thank you, Kathy, so much for joining us. It was so fun to have you on.
If people want to find you, where can they find you on the internet?
They can find me at Yamadrama on Twitter or at Kathy Yamafarted on Instagram. And listen to the Korean Drama Podcast. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
Kathy, I love your handles, both of them.
Thank you. I really should have one. I should have chosen one. But instead, I like to keep it confusing.
Keep them on their toes.
Yes.
Yeah. One day you might feel like a Kathy Yamafarted. One day you might feel like a Yamadrama.
Do you have different personas, do you feel like, because of that? Like one is like fighty silly and the other one is a little bit like dramatic? Or do you feel like it's the same persona across platforms?
It's the same, except I really don't use Twitter. So I really shouldn't like be telling people to follow me because I really don't. I'll use it like once every 5 years to be like, I got to do this for my career. And then I'll stop a week later.
Same. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being here. And if you'd like to reach out to us or find out more about Marvel and Makeup, you can follow us on all social media at Marvel and Makeup, or you can email us at marvelandmakeup@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you find your podcasts.
And please give us 5 stars about this. Is so apropos, so that our Asian moms stop asking us why we look so tired.
Well, you know, we can say it's because it's a trend, Mom.
Yes, keep up.
Or put our eyeshadow that way. So thanks, everyone. Catch you next time on Marvel and Makeup. Marvel and Makeup is hosted and produced by Quincy Cho and Kay Kanapu. Quincy is an actor-writer based in Los Angeles, California. Kay is a writer-performer for Filipino AF and an alum of the CBS Diversity Sketch Showcase. You can follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Quincy Dinosaur and at Kay Kanapu.
The music for Marvel and Makeup was composed by Clarence Yap, and our artwork was designed by Patty Lynn. You can find them on Instagram at Clarence_Yap and at pattylyn.jpg. See our show notes for even more info.
Marvel and Makeup is also a member of the Potluck Podcast Collective, a network of Asian American hosted podcasts. Please check out our fellow Potluck pods by going to the website podcastpotluck.com.
Kathy? Kim?
Steve? Where have you been? We haven't seen you for 7 years.
Has it been that long?
Uh-huh.
Oh. I was on a fishing boat. Training. It's part of the plan.
What training? What plan?
The third season of the Korean drama podcast!
Okay, we're doing this again? Okay, but there's no body switching in this one, right?
No! The only thing we're switching is the fact that we're going to watch a good drama this time. From 2020 called Itaewon Class! A story about starting a restaurant and a dish that Koreans love called revenge.
I thought you were going to say kimchi jjigae.
I thought you were going to say juke.
Those two. Koreans love those two.
Listen to the Korean Drama Podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Part of the Potluck Podcast Collective.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you. That was so fun.
So great.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry,
yeah.
I was such a poo-poo about the movie, but I just
No,
don't like it.
We
No, there
love.
was like, yeah, I remember, what was it? Someone came in and was like, no, this movie was no good.
Yeah, I think it was I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like Captain America. She was like, "What?" Like, she was like afraid for Agent Carter because there were so many men and they were being such dicks to her.
Yeah.
She was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And and she wanted, I forget, something about like wanting to see Hitler. She was like, "I wanted to see him actually
'cause it
punch
was like
Hitler."
World War II or something. And yeah, I mean, it was Hitler heavy, and I guess she wanted that payoff.
Yeah, she was like, "This is
Yeah.
World War."
Well, she deserves that payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all deserve that payoff. Seeing
We all
We
deserve
do.
the payoff to punch Hitler in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do. We really do.
Yeah.
That they should. Get on it, Disney. A ride where we all get just to go in and punch Hitler in the face.
Yeah, and make this one realistic.
No blood, though.